Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV. We're broadcasting from the Hesselson studio here on Frankly Speaking, and we return to our conversation with Congressman Nick Langworthy. We've all followed closely with Vice President Vance and his fight against fraud, and recently good morning and welcome to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom. We are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning, celebrating America 250. It's not too late to get your impromptu survey, answers in. I'll give you the answer, or I guess the average, at the end of the broadcast. We've had quite a few respondents. So the idea is on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the most patriotic or most grateful or most pride in America, 1 being the least, where do you rank? We would love to hear from you. We're going to start with viewer comments in the 7 o'clock hour. Very excited about this. We're going to be talking with Congressman Nick Langworthy. A lot to catch up on, a lot of things to cover. We're going to ask him how he's going to celebrate America 250. So Congressman Nick Langworthy coming up in the 7 o'clock hour. We're going to kick off with viewer comments. Mark writes in this morning and says, "Good morning, Frank." And I say, good morning, Mark. Well, a couple decide to climb the Empire State Building in New York City all the way to the top of the Spear. Then on the descent, they got engaged. But the troubling part is they got past the security with no problem. Could it be a lack of guards due to Hochul or Mamdani? That's a fair question. I will say that couple got exactly what they wanted. It was on every news broadcast that I happened to see, every website I happened to click on. The Daredevils are in custody. They got engaged more than 1,400 feet over New York City. Angela Nicolou, 33, and her now fiancé, Ivan Vanya Burkus. They had pictures from up there. They had a banner reading, "When the power of love beats the love of power, the world knows peace." That's often credited to Jimi Hendrix. It was originally spoken, though, by 19th century British politician William Gladstone. Just something to keep in mind. But when you saw the pictures, and obviously there's a lot of selfies taken, when you saw the pictures, I don't know if anybody out there is even a little iffy on heights. Woof. But yes, we're not going to cover too much of that because everybody else is covering it. But I do appreciate that, Mark. You're right. There is a fair question there about security. I know that there is supposed to be extreme security ahead of the July 4th celebrations in New York City. I'm not sure exactly what that entails, but that is what they're reporting this morning. Comment from a different viewer coming in this morning. Pete writes in and says, and by the way, good morning, Pete. "I spent the last 2 days reading the Supreme Court decision on Trump v. Barbara. It isn't just a stupid decision, it is evil. By invoking medieval rule, the majority of the Supreme Court equates U.S. citizens to serfs, property of and in service to the feudal lord, the administrative state. And on the eve of the 250th anniversary of independence, the Republic's core principles are abandoned by the highest court. This is not about losing future elections, but about losing the American dream." I appreciate that. We're going to actually talk a little bit about that. President Trump gave an interview kind of giving his thoughts and opinions on the decisions. The takeaway for me is the left is still, and the media is still pushing for stacking the Supreme Court. And yeah, how many decisions went against Trump in this session? It's very frustrating, but you're right. That is such a troubling decision made by the Supreme Court, and yet their main focus are the ones, when I say they, the media and the left, are the ones that didn't go their way. But again, I know I don't want to sound like a broken record, but conservatives on the Supreme Court, not Alito and not Thomas, but the rest have always been historically very easy to convince, I guess, maybe, to cave. So it is kind of a common trend for Republicans, or I should say conservatives on the bench, to cave to the left side, and yet the left is still not happy, like in everything else when we talk about this rise of Democrat socialists. Okay, spoiler alert, if you watch some soccer, which it sounds like many of you did because the ratings have been through the roof, well, the United States defeated, even overcame a red card, to advance to the World Cup round of 16 with their impressive win over Bosnia-Herzegovina. So there you are. Exciting as we enter into America 250 and Independence Weekend. I'm not going to go through the play-by-play, but exciting there. And speaking of sports, we've been talking about the Bills lately and their new stadium, Highmark Stadium. They've come up with a new scheme. I don't know if you call it a scheme, but for tailgating. The Buffalo Bills are offering or partnering with high-end hospitality vendor Bullseye Event Group to offer all-inclusive ticketed tailgate events adjacent to the Orchard Park Stadium. Now, I believe you can still tailgate in other areas. But before this, the Bills, for the most part, had stayed out of the tailgate party game, but now the team is taking another shot at it as premium VIP tailgate experiences become more popular with the NFL. Here we go. If you're interested, already you know that some of your tax dollars, especially if you live in Erie County, but even in New York State, your tax dollars went to building this stadium. Now, as we look at the ticket prices, I'm sure you cannot afford to take your family to a Bills game. Outrageous, at least at the beginning of the season. Let's say you've already put a second mortgage on your home, bought some tickets to the Bills game, and now you say, let's go all out, buying this tailgate, the ultimate tailgate experience. Tickets for the tailgate are $135 for adults, $70 for youth ages 9 to 17. The game ticket and tailgate combo for the opener against the Detroit Lions on September 17th is priced at, this is for one person, single person. You go to the game, you go to the tailgate, $753 a pop. The rest of the games range anywhere from $287 to $568 for the combo option. Again, that's for tailgating and your ticket into the game. You're probably asking, what do you get? Well, the food will include taco stations, barbecue items, and regional favorites, and made by Food Network celebrity chef Aaron May. And the tailgate will include multiple bars, live DJ, and an array of TVs for early game broadcast coverage. All food and drinks including open premium bar and bottled beer, are included in the price. All right, there you go. Next on kicking off the program with sports, before we get into the real nitty-gritty, because, yes, I do have the media bad-mouthing America, showing you more polls of how bad we have it here. So let's end our sports segment on a very positive note. State Senator Tom O'Mara, Assemblyman Phil Palmisano, and Assemblyman Chris Friend recently paid tribute to the 40th anniversary of NASCAR at Watkins Glen International. During a ceremony at the Glen Club last Sunday as part of the Salem's 6 Hours of the Glen, O'Mara and Palmisano presented WGI President, our good friend here on Frankly Speaking, Don Berlew, with a legislative resolution they sponsored commemorating the 40th anniversary of NASCAR at WGI. Here is a picture of Senator O'Mara, Don Berlew, Assemblyman Phil Palmisano, and Schuyler County Administrator Sean Rosno receiving the proclamation. O'Mara, Palmisano, and Friend saying it is our privilege to pay tribute once again to one of the world's iconic sporting venues. Across the Southern Tier and Finger Lakes region, we all take great pride in the fact that the Glen has resonated so powerfully throughout the history of American motorsports and as a mainstay of the NASCAR circuit for the past 40 years. Watkins Glen International has long stood as a cornerstone of our regional culture and economy, as one of New York State's premier destinations, a backbone of our leading tourism industry, and a driving force for countless charitable, community service, and economic development initiatives. Very simply, we're all fortunate to call Watkins Glen International one of our own. The president of Watkins Glen International, Don Berlew, said to be the home of NASCAR in New York State for 40 years and counting is something we are incredibly proud of. We will continue to work hard to welcome race teams, officials, and fans with the best possible experience, and thank you to the New York State Senate, pardon me, to the New York State Senate and Assembly for this recognition. There you go. That's a good way, I think, to kick off our broadcast this morning. All right, when we return, we're going to tell you, I guess, how bad the American dream is. Tell you some if you're watching the normal mainstream media, that's what you're being told over and over again. Well, we're just going to report it, but not here. We don't believe that at all. That's why we have a very high rating in our impromptu poll of how you feel about this country, 10 being the best, 1 being the worst, so it's not too late to get your numbers in. We also have a few things here. Well, we got a lot here. I don't want to run too late. Yesterday I ran late, and let me tell you, we're going to spend some time with Congressman Nick Langworthy because we're looking forward to catching up with him, finding out about some of the issues of the day. So stay right there. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here at WYDC TV, Big Fox.
What better way to start or end every day than relaxing in your very own Hesselson's hot tub? Massage therapy, relaxation, stress reliever, pain management, soothing muscles, or just spending time with a loved one. Hot water therapy really does make every day better. Hesselson's has been a part of this great community for over 70 years, still being locally owned and operated. So make the drive to Hesselson's and start making your path to a better life today. And after 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
Give kids time. Just 5 minutes a day. Ask them how they're feeling. And listen.
An app can turn your life upside down in an instant. Pain, medical bills, time off work, it's overwhelming. And when you look to the insurance company for help, they don't see you. They don't see your family or what you've lost. To them, you're just a number, just dollars on a spreadsheet. Their job is to pay you as little as possible. At WDC Injury Law, we see the person behind the claim. We fight for your recovery, your future, and your peace of mind. If you've been hurt in New York, call 607-500-HURT.
I'm meteorologist Brandon Weathers. This is the hottest day that we have ahead of us, but we will be flirting with triple-digit territory, which would be close to 20 degrees above average in the overnight hours. Clear skies, staying in the mid-70s. Then another day in the 90s on Friday. In the afternoon, we have some thunderstorm potential, gradually trending cooler over 4th of July weekend, but we'll see some scattered showers and storms to factor into your outdoor plans. By next week, we'll be back.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Here we go. Let's go through the media's negative coverage of America. After 250 years, writes the AFP, the American dream is tarnished but alive. Whatever it means, way to downplay it. The American dream still offers hope to millions of people who believe the United States is a place where anyone can succeed, no matter the odds. As the country celebrates 250 years since independence, many Americans and immigrants know the daily reality of chasing that dream through countless disappointments and endless striving. And then they go through and do their normal interviews with people on the street. Okay, tarnished. All right, that's probably one of the better ones. How about this? America's stillborn 250th birthday. America, a quarter of a millennium ago, was where the words of the European Enlightenment became flesh. In the 13 colonies, Declaration of Independence, the dreams of the New Age's rationalists, freethinkers, and anti-monarchists were made actual. Power comes from the people, they said. Rulers must govern with the consent of the governed. The America's 250th is a flop. And it may be an accident of timing. The bicentennial was very different. Those in 1976 in the celebrations were led by Gerald Ford, an unexpected president who was modesty personified. Half a century later, Nixon is depicted by J.D. Vance, today's vice president, as a victim of the deep state. So this whole piece, again, it's the left doing this. It's no one else making the celebration all about Trump. I know, I'm not going to go through all this. These are going quickly. I just had to almost keep up the tradition of, I would say, the last month, of whether it's polls telling you how much you hate America, or polls showing that, 8% of Democrats consider themselves very proud to be American. That's why we started that impromptu poll. And of course, for whatever reason, as well as the donations from the likes of the cage wrestling UFC. Man, they really hated the UFC. At 250, the U.S. system has outlasted most empires. The founders might have been astonished to learn it has survived this long. At just 1,320 words, the Declaration ranks as one of the great statements in history. Many on America's left believe it was a hypercritical charter drawn up by slave owners. Many on the right see it as a revelation of God's providence. But surveys show that the typical American has a better grasp of the nation's founding ideals and hypocrisies. Most deserve a better celebration than they will be getting. So this isn't enough of a celebration. The media and the left ruined many of the celebrations, states backing out of the Great American Fair, artists who originally agreed to it, saying no longer because they got so much pushback from anti-Trump leftists. So again, the victim blaming of, this turned out horribly because they created the problem. We'll continue. Americans have a surprising take on who they believe best represents the United States as the country celebrates its 250th birthday. No, it's not President Donald Trump, nor is it ex-President Barack Obama. In fact, it's movie star Tom Hanks, who most Americans want to see as the face of the country, according to a poll. Do you agree with this? I'm not going to go through his history. According to the poll conducted in June, Hanks' influence extends past the film world. Hanks is publicly aligned with the Democrat Party and beliefs and has openly made comments against the Trump administration. So they're going that direction with it. I don't think we need to go through any more of this. But these are the kind of hard-hitting news pieces being put out by the mainstream media today. Now, some other notable mentions in the poll about who voters want to be the face of America are Taylor Swift, Dolly Parton, Clint Eastwood, and Bruce Springsteen. Obama and Trump were also mentioned frequently. Now, it does not give how many people they interviewed, but I would have to say this is coming from a left-wing organization if that many people were saying Taylor Swift and Bruce Springsteen. All right, enough on that. Continuing. Moving quickly here. A Pennsylvania Republican lawmaker, right down the road, Pennsylvania, or to our friends watching in Pennsylvania, welcome. He says he was kicked off the floor of the state's House of Representatives for wearing an American flag-themed suit jacket ahead of the 250th birthday celebration. Representative Eric DeVanzo was baffled when Speaker Representative Jonah McClinton ruled that his choice of attire went against the House rules and outrageously dubbed the suit a, quote, costume. DeVonzo posted on his Facebook page, kicked off the floor for wearing a patriotic jacket. That's right, it happened. DeVonzo, who represents Pennsylvania's 58th district in Westmoreland County, stood out among his fellow lawmakers after he opted for a red, white striped jacket, which he said was bought by his wife, Rachel, and then a star-themed tie. It really looks nice. A white shirt, red and white striped jacket, and then a blue tie with stars. DeVonzo said, "I will never apologize for putting patriotism before politics. We love our country. We love America. So I'm happy to put this on. I'm proud to wear it." Even lawmakers on the other side of the aisle approved of his suit. This is a very colorful jacket that the representative is wearing today. Very patriotic. I see. Oops. Wow, that got cut off. And that was from a Democrat because DeVonzo, Republican. Everybody loved it, DeVonzo said. They come up, people gave me hugs, shaking my hands. Hey, this is great. But not everyone appreciated the lawmaker's eye-catching attire, according to the New York Post, especially, again, McClinton, the first black speaker of the Pennsylvania House. The politician said House Whip Mike Schlossberg gave him an ultimatum to either lose the jacket or leave the floor. DeVonzo claimed that a security guard in the chamber repeated the order just a few minutes later. She says it's a costume. He goes, yeah, it's something you wouldn't wear every day. And I'm like, listen, I would wear this back home. I'm going to wear it again. America's 250, it's a holiday weekend coming out. Why not wear it? So again, it was Speaker Representative Joanne McClinton that had the most problem with this. Just reporting this from the New York Post. Clinton's office, or McClinton's office, stood by the decision, saying the House Democrats came to Harrisburg this week to do the serious work of passing a responsible budget to benefit all Pennsylvanians. Again, just wearing a patriotic jacket. DeVonzo said about his Democrats across the aisle, "We have an affordability crisis. People can't afford stuff. Instead of coming out here and doing the people's work, no, what are they focused on? We're focused on, we'll say, baloney issues like this jacket, right? No reason whatsoever. This wasn't a costume. This is something that I truly believe in. I'm a patriot." We don't have to go through the whole what their district looks like. But continuing. Oh, we're going to keep going. San Diego County officials and its Democratic-led Board of Supervisors are receiving backlash, according to Fox News, after an America 250 4th of July celebration, originally pitched as a tribute, obviously, to the Declaration of Independence, was reshaped by the Democrat-led Board of Supervisors to be a DEI-focused sponsorship. It was, so let me reword that because I worded that strange. It was reshaped. The celebration was reshaped by DEI-focused sponsorship rules. The celebration's main programming is expected to feature a tribal blessing, a land acknowledgement, just like we saw at Barack Obama's museum. It's such a weird virtue signal to say, hey, we stole this land. By the way, we're just acknowledging it. We're not giving it back. We're not going to do anything about it. We're just acknowledging it. So it's going to start with a land acknowledgement and nearly 2 hours of community story segments centered on historically underserved populations. This is how the Democrat-led Board of Supervisors in San Diego found to be the best way to celebrate America's 250th. Bill Wells, the mayor of San Diego County's city of El Cajon, and other critics pointed out that America's founding appeared to be sidelined in tentative plans for the upcoming 4th of July celebration. The event, which is lacking funds needed for a full setup, saw at least one sponsor drop after it was mandated they attest to a series of DEI principles as a condition of participating. So imagine you come up and go, yeah, I'm excited to celebrate America 250. Here, I own a business. I'm going to sponsor this. I want to be a sponsor. And the person who needs the money, who's going to take the money for the celebration, says, whoa, 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 you've got to follow these DEI rules before we take your hard-earned money. You have to sign off that you're going to follow these DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion principles. I have an alternative plan. One, this is who said this? Wells. So Bill Wells, the mayor. I have an alternative plan. 1, acknowledge America and its greatness. 2, celebrate with fireworks and the American national anthem. Good point. The rundown obtained by Fox News Digital lists a tribal intimate blessing welcoming to land shortly after guests arrive and sound check, followed by a welcoming and land acknowledgement. So I guess we're going to see land acknowledgements in a lot of these instances, led by the MC, then a tribal invocation, the Black National Anthem and regular national anthem, and then nearly 2 hours of community story segments focused on local tribal, Latino, Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islanders, LGBT, and Black and African communities. The event, which will also feature music, food trucks, booths, and other cultural presentations, then concludes with closing remarks, fireworks, and cleanup. David McIntosh, president of the conservative political advocacy giant Club for Growth, said the official government July 4th itinerary of San Diego reads like the opening ceremony of the Democrat Socialists of America convention. It really does. I don't think we need to go through any more of this. The board, which is controlled by a 3-2 Democrat majority, introduced and passed the motion to amend weeks later, which directed the county's chief administrative officer to coordinate with the Office of Equity and Racial Justice and the county's tribal liaison to incorporate community engagement focused on tribal nations, immigrant communities, LGBTQ communities, and other historically underserved groups. Underserved groups from LGBT community wasn't last month Pride Month? So piggybacking off of that and going right into July 4th too as well. I think we've heard enough about this. Among the changes was a requirement for event donors and sponsors. Again, they're begging for your money and you are about to give it to them. Well, you have to commit yourselves to supporting the county's woke DEI principles. And of course, at least one had dropped out. The sponsor's pending $2,500 donation did not move forward after the donor declined to complete a required form mandating they show alignment with the county's values on DEI and support for immigration or immigrant communities. I've got to say, that's the totalitarian aspect of the far left of the Democrat Socialists of America, that again, they need money for this celebration. You will give them money for this celebration, and they say not until you sign this DEI form. You have to be in complete adherence. You have to 100% support the left-wing agenda, or I guess your money's no good here, even though they need money, they're begging for money. Anti-DEI activist Robbie Starbuck said Democrats are essentially excluding white community members from the 4th of July, contending in response to the event's planned schedule as a schedule and equity focus on underserved populations, describes it as vile. We've got a couple other things on this, as a matter of fact. Well, look at all these comments coming in. Thank you. We'll read them when we return. Running just a little bit late, but we've got to get through these stories. We've got to show you what we're kind of dealing with when we're all getting ready to celebrate the greatness of this country, American exceptionalism. We've got to show you what the other side has to say. So stay with us. A few more comments on that, then we'll move right along and definitely getting to your comments when we return.
Go to your local library, create with the 3D printer, release your inner audio engineer or sewing machine rentals, all with your library card. Go to your local library today.
It's Monday again, but I love this job. It was hard to get though. No one gave me a chance.
I found a problem, it fixed.
Perfect. Thank you, Joshua.
Aren't you glad we hired him?
Yes, I am.
Don't underestimate people with disabilities. Visit thearc.org/yes to see what's possible.
We are the keepers of the wild, America's original and most invested conservationists. For more than 80 years, we've been committed to conserving wildlife and the natural landscapes that define our nation. From rugged alpine ridgelines to peaceful tall grass prairies, we've supported the conservation of more than 36 million acres of American wildlands. Our funding has led to cleaner water, fresher air, and improved wildlife habitat. From abundant fish and waterfowl populations to robust deer and elk herds, nothing is more important than maintaining wild spaces for adventurers to explore and wildlife to thrive. We are America's hunters and target shooters, stewards of the American outdoors.
This year, WYDC is bringing you 25 New York Mets games free over the air this spring and summer. No fees and no subscription services. Tune into WJKP 48.2 to watch the New York Mets this
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio on Market Street in Corning. Let's go to viewer comments, and as a reminder, we'll be talking with Congressman Nick Langworthy in the next hour. Okay. That the fake news pushes the false narrative that Americans are ashamed of our country is only a continuation in part of their agenda to get communists back into power. And along these lines, I have to wonder if these propaganda machines are foreign owned. That's a fair question. We're going through so many. Some of them definitely are not. Some of them very well could be. I tried to cite where they come from, but every once in a while they don't print out properly. Comment from a different viewer. Good morning, Frank. Well, good morning to you. Those people that climb the Empire State Building must really be in trouble now. The penalty has to be excessive in a sanctuary city where police and ICE agents are the bad guys and repeat offenders are overlooked. Yep, they're in so much trouble. I agree. Well, first of all, they got everything they wanted with how much media attention they've gotten. But yeah, I don't see them receiving much of a punishment. I would agree with that. Comment from Mark. He writes, uh-oh, Frank, you have a red, white, and blue shirt on. They might make you leave the set. No, not here at Big Fox. We're not scared of the red, white, and blue at Big Fox like they are apparently some in the Pennsylvania House of Representatives, but not here. I'm proud of the red, white, and blue, so I have no fear. But thank you for noticing the shirt. Ken writes in, I laughed like a crazy banshee when I read that Nancy Pelosi has started the Nancy Pelosi Institute for Representative Democracy. Now that she is finally out of Congress, she needs another way to launder money into her bank account. The Institute has already received $32 million in pledges with a goal of $50 million. The sheeple should be proud. Nancy is still trying to help them save their money. She wants to save their money in her portfolio. I couldn't agree more, Ken. What a joke. $50 million. Wow. For an institute that no one asked for, no one needs, but will be a great way for her to keep that money flow, that cash flow coming in. MSN Now, a guest and presidential historian, John Meacham, made the case yesterday that the U.S. as a multiracial, multi-ethnic democracy was not founded until 1965 and the days leading up to the 4th of July, saying, quote, we talk about, directly to your point, we talk about this as the 250th anniversary, which it is, of the Second Continental Congress, passing the Declaration of Independence, fully beginning the Revolutionary War, which ultimately leads in 1787 and 1789 to the framing of the Constitution, the inauguration of George Washington, and the beginning of what we now see as a recognizable experiment in self-government, except that a lot of people weren't included in that. And in that important sentence about all men being created equal, men had a very particular application in that area. There's a very good case to be made, I think, that we were founded in 1965. That's when a multiracial, multi-ethnic democracy came more fully into being with the Immigration and Nationality Act, with the Voting Rights Act, and so we're really about 60 years old, and we're developing democracy in a lot of ways. Meacham, who had previously written speeches for President Joe Biden, former President Joe Biden, which I would probably exclude from my resume. I guess you can't blame the person reading the speech from the teleprompter for all the gaffes and errors. I guess you should blame, you can't blame the writer for all the gaffes and errors coming from the person reading it. So previously wrote speeches for former President Joe Biden. Wow. Revered America's founding fathers as proof that imperfect people can push us toward more perfect outcomes. Let's remember that we have to honor them by following them. We can't just preach, we have to practice. Okay, in Ohio, just in time for America 250, the city of Columbus, Ohio, they raised the Somali flag over their town hall or their city hall. Happy Somali Independence Day, the Columbus Recreation and Parks Department posted on X. As we celebrate the unification of the Trust Territory of Somaliland and the state of Somaliland into the Somali Republic in 1960, City Hall will be raising the flag of Somalia. Needless to say, not all were excited about this, especially so close to the 250th anniversary of America's independence. White House Deputy Chief of Staff for Policy Stephen Miller wrote, Columbus, Ohio, raising the flag of Somalia for America 250. Mark Hemingway wrote, no American government building should ever be raising another country's flag. Attorney and political commentator Mia Cook said, City Hall is not a foreign embassy. As an Ohioan, I'm repulsed by the anti-Americanism here. Our leaders treat foreign nationalists as sacred while treating American patriotism as controversial. America's public buildings should honor America. That's a great point. How many times have we been lectured and told that the American flag is a troubling symbol? It can actually trigger people from seeing it, who see it. That it's, well, you've got that one candidate that said that when her hands are dirty, she wipes them with the American flag, that Democrat Socialist of America candidate that won. I don't need to go through all of the Twitter posts on this. You can imagine the outrage and the anger driving by Columbus and the City Hall that many experienced when they saw another country's flag over their City Hall. If Somalia is such a failed state that we need to take in tens of thousands of its citizens as refugees, then we really don't need to be celebrating its supposed independence with patronizing posts on social media, said Ohio Republican State Representative Brian Stewart. One more way in which we encourage the refusal to assimilate. They would not, a city spokesperson told Fox News a social media post created by a city department falsely stated that City Hall would raise the Somalian flag in recognition of Somali Independence Day. While the city recognizes and respects the aspirations of people around the world to live in freedom, this post was inaccurate and has been deleted. Okay, and one last thing, right? Well, no, not one last thing, but kind of in line with this trying to erase our history. You know, people, there's so many examples of homeowners associations, things like that, fining for flying the American flag, and we've heard so many people call it, like I said, a disturbing symbol and things like that. And you see our heritage, our traditions, our faith, our culture, and we talked about this from the beginning of the program, being eroded, whether it's by kind of the indoctrination of the school system, whether it's by the media. Well, in this case, it's the school system. A Wisconsin high school graduate is alleging religious discrimination after school officials barred her from including a Bible verse in a graduation ceremony. Sarah Ann Baranja, a 2026 graduate of Arrowhead High School. Ooh, surprised Arrowhead High School hasn't. There could be some connotation there that they should maybe be forced to change their name because Native American culture can't be glorified in any way on school grounds apparently anymore. But she submitted Proverbs 3:6 as her personal message to appear beside her photo in a slideshow playing during the commencement ceremony. Seems nice, you know. I'm sure you can do a quote. And how many? We've had so many instances of schools throughout the country that have had even high schoolers scream anti-Semitic things. The verse reads, if you're not familiar, "In all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your path." Baranja said that less than 24 hours before the ceremony, an associate principal told her she could not use the verse because religious messages were prohibited. The student said school officials also told her she could not share an alternative message thanking God for being beside me through these last 4 years. My faith helped shape who I am, she told Fox News. Over the past 4 years, this verse was something I kept going back to that kept me grounded and moving forward. Superintendent Conrad Farner told Fox News that religious and political messages were barred from the graduation slideshow because it is considered school-sponsored speech. He said students were given explicit instructions to limit messages to family thank yous and future plans. I think God has your future plans at heart, right? By defining the boundary, and isn't that what the verse is saying? In all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your path meaning your future. By defining the boundaries of the slideshow ahead of time, limiting the topic strictly to family thank yous and future career college plans, the expectations and limits were clearly articulated and established. The slideshow has never meant to be a forum for any religious or political viewpoints. It is an extremely brief picture of each graduate that allows for an extremely brief thank you or future plans. Again, the slideshow is district-sponsored speech, not a public forum. Going forward, Farner said the school will no longer utilize a slideshow at graduation. All right. There you are. We've got some other, well, there's two pieces, and we're not going to have time to get to them because I'll mention them when we return. Keep those comments coming in. Keep those waves coming in, and we'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Give kids time. Just 5 minutes a day. Ask them how they're feeling. And listen. Kids time. Ask them how they're feeling. And listen.
First life moment. Your kids could get free or low-cost health coverage from Medicaid or CHIP. Kids up to age 19 are covered for checkups, vaccines, dentist visits, hospital care, and more. Your kids may be eligible now, even if you've applied before. And if they already have Medicaid or CHIP, remember to renew every year. Get started now at insurekidsnow.gov. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
The perfect summer day is calling your name in New York State. From take the scenic route days to fun at the fairground days, easygoing sunshine-filled kind of days, and the kind you wish would never end days. However you spend it, there's a summer day for everyone. Find yours. New York State, everything you love. Plan your summer getaway at iloveny.com.
Meteorologist Brandon Weathers. This is the hottest day that we have ahead of us, but we will be flirting with triple-digit territory, which would be close to 20 degrees above average in the overnight hours. Clear skies, staying in the mid-70s. Then another day in the 90s on Friday. In the afternoon, we have some thunderstorm potential, gradually trending cooler over 4th of July weekend, but we'll see some scattered showers and storms to factor into your outdoor plans. By next week, we'll be back.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. A couple of viewer comments. The bigoted socialist Democrats should be raising red flags that they are in fact pushing communism and not socialism. This is evident in the fact that they donate their money to causes with so much support for DEI initiatives. Comment from Mark: if the Somalis think that the country is so great and have their flag on a government building in Ohio, why did they come to the country? It seems to me they came here to respect our flag. I feel like Trump's going to ship them back. Maybe. I don't know where Trump on the immigration. Well, the Somali, obviously, that's an issue when we've talked about it in the past with, I wonder if I did have an update on Tim Walz. But listen, I got to go through some other things. But thank you for the comments. Keep them coming in. There's a piece by Patty Garibay that kind of ties in with exactly what we've been saying. America's next 250 years depends on passing faith and freedom to our children. If we're honest, the most pressing question isn't what we're commemorating. It's what we're handing down. What we teach the next generations of American will determine what this country looks like at its next great milestone. Right now, we are in danger of handing them a vision of America that has been stripped of the very thing that made it extraordinary in the first place: faith. Let's start with something that gets misquoted almost daily in our culture. The First Amendment does not say that God has no place in American public life. It says Congress shall make no law establishing a religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. It was written by brave leaders who quoted Scripture and opened the Constitutional Convention in prayer. America wasn't born out of a desire to eliminate religion and become some sort of aimless, secular utopia. Instead, our founders built a nation where no single church would be compelled by the state precisely because they believed faith was too important to be weaponized by government. The Declaration of Independence references God 4 times. Our rights are described as endowments from a creator. These rights don't come from a king, a parliament, or a constitution. They come from God. Government doesn't grant them. Government is merely charged with protecting them. This is where we have lost the plot. Over the last several decades, we've allowed, quote, separation of church and state, a phrase that doesn't appear, and this is something that's so overlooked. I'm so glad that Patty Garibay brought this up. I know I mentioned it on the show numerous times. That is a phrase that does not appear anywhere in the Constitution, separation of church and state. It's being wielded as a crowbar to pry faith out of public life entirely. We've taught a generation of young people that patriotism and faith don't blend, that loving America means setting religion aside, and that the public square must be scrubbed clean of anything that looks spiritual or sounds like a prayer. The result? A generation of people who are ashamed of their country and unmoored from their God. Again, Patty Garibay writes, I've learned a lot in 30 years of working with girls, many of whom left the Girl Scouts because of the ways the organization has stripped faith and God-given identity from its program, as so many organizations have over the years. When a young woman doesn't know who she is in Christ, she doesn't know what to make of her country either. She'll be told by one group to love America uncritically and by another to be ashamed of it. She'll waffle between identities, trying to figure out which version of herself is acceptable in which room. That is not freedom, it's confusion dressed up as progress. Genuine freedom, the kind our founders recognized in Scripture's promises, isn't something any government invented. It existed before the Constitution was drafted, before the Declaration was signed, before anyone fled Europe for this continent. It's woven into how God made human beings. America's genius was not that it created freedom, it was it acknowledged freedom as something already bestowed by God and built a government designed to protect it. If we want America to look like America at its next great milestone, we have to teach the next generation that their identity as Christians and their identity as Americans are not in conflict. They are complementary. A girl confidently rooted in her faith who knows she is first a citizen of heaven and second a citizen of this republic is exactly the kind of person a free nation needs. She doesn't need the government to tell her what is true or good. She can hold the complexity of her nation's history, the beauty and the scars alike, without being shaken because her foundation isn't the nation. It's the God who placed her in it. America's birthday parties will be spectacular on the 4th. I hope they are. My own backyard will be filled with family, friends, and more food than any hostess could prepare. I love the joyful, celebratory spirit of this time of year, but when the fireworks fade, the real work will be the same work it has always been, which is raising children who know that God, who made them free and who understands that freedom, comes with responsibility to pass it on. That is how we commemorate 250 years, and that is how we earn the next. That's Patty Garibay, is the founder and executive director of American Heritage Girls. I thought that was such a great way to kind of tie that back in with the topic that we've discussed this morning, and we're out of time for this segment. But Senator Tim Scott, full disclosure, had the honor of interviewing him a few years ago, said, my family's journey shows America's founding promise is alive and strong. Love is a commitment to what? To truth. Therefore, love does not mean that we compromise our ideals or sugarcoat that truth. It means we encourage what is right, confront what is wrong, and remain open to correcting ourselves. When we put God first, rededicate ourselves to our founding ideals, and stand up for what is right, we can surely experience the blessings of faith, freedom, and opportunity in South Carolina and the whole of the United States today, tomorrow, and for the next 250 years. We got so much more to cover. Keep those comments, keep those waves coming in. We've been having good wave numbers lately. Stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking here at WYDC TV, Big Fox.
The only thing more American than apple pie and 4th of July is baseball. This year, WYDC is bringing you 25 New York Mets games free over the air this spring and summer. No fees and no subscription services. Tune into WJKP 48.2 to watch the New York Mets this MLB season. Let's go Mets!
Go to your library, create with the 3D printer. Release your inner audio engineer or sewing machine rentals, all with your library card. Go to your local library today.
Small businesses are the heart of America. Like you, these entrepreneurs started out with a dream and the drive to build a better life. If you have a small business idea to grow or challenge to face, you don't have to go it alone. Since 1964, SCORE has helped millions of entrepreneurs build their businesses. Today, they are the nation's largest nonprofit source of expert mentoring, resources, and education. Whether you're starting out, building back, or have worked at it for years, SCORE will match you with specialized mentors. Our thousands of volunteers provide the guidance and connections you need for free. Your success is waiting. SCORE is ready to help. Find a mentor today at SCORE.org.
Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Comment from a viewer. To get the minds of the young people back on God and country, parents need to homeschool and teenagers need to reject college and instead enlist in a trade school. Thank you very much. According to the media, young Republican activists are turning against Trump. Okay, so it used to be all of MAGA is turning against Trump. Now they're saying that it's young Republicans. Boy, the media is so predictable, aren't they? Apparently what they're suggesting is Trump isn't, quote, extreme enough. All right, and there's anger at the Iran war. But this ties in because they keep painting these groups, and I don't know who the young Republican activists they talk about directly, but it's just like when they say that the leading conservative voices, and then they'll name Marjorie Taylor Greene or Tucker Carlson. Well, I mention that because, you know, full disclaimer, not a big fan, haven't been for a very long time, since his early days on Crossfire, of Tucker Carlson. Well, he says, in typical I'm taking my ball and going home fashion, Tucker Carlson says he's starting a new political party. I'm going to help build a third party. There should be a good faith effort to figure out what benefits the country. He argued that when it comes to the two issues he views as most consequential for Americans, war and finance, Democrats and Republicans are in lockstep solidarity with each other. That's not a democracy. That's a one-party state posing as a democracy. And it needs to be broken, and there's going to be a third party, and I'm going to do everything I can to bring that about. Tucker Carlson's very full of himself, but, you know, you can't blame him. The media has given him such a soapbox. The media that hates him, giving him such a soapbox because they can quote him, they can quote Marjorie Taylor Greene, some of these other people that I'm not even familiar with, but they tell us that they're leading conservative thinkers. So he is going to start a third party. And who gave him the outlet to talk about this? Columbia Journalism Review. I mean, if you make $60,000 a year, you're degraded. Your life expectancy has gone down, and the promise of your children's lives is likely gone. No one seems to care. It's not even a factor. What about Hamas? I officially don't care about Hamas. The U.S. government should have, as its first priority, the welfare of its own people. I don't want to be a candidate. Of course, he had to make it about himself again. But anyway, Carlson did not provide details about what the proposed third party would look like or what any formal effort to organize it might begin with. There you go. Your thoughts on that, but we got to take another short break. Getting ready to wrap up hour number one. Don't forget, Congressman Nick Langworthy will be our guest in the 7 o'clock hour. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV. Big Fox.
I had to pack up all my things. I had to leave my home. I never knew where I was going next. It felt like I never even had a say. But then you came along.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you. Learn how you can help at nationalcasagal.org.
Time to go to the gym? The health club is not an option? Come to Hesselson today and see why swim spas and fitness systems can fit into anyone's yard and budget. 12-foot, 14-foot, 15-foot, 18-foot dual temperature hot tub and swim spas are all on display in Hesselson's indoor and outdoor showroom. Try before you buy. 0% interest-free financing options are available on every Hesselson swim spa. Swim and exercise year-round and start making every day better. After 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
Meteorologist Brandon Weathers. This is the hottest day that we have ahead of us, but we will be flirting with triple-digit territory, which would be close to 20 degrees above average in the overnight hours. Clear skies, staying in the mid-70s. Then another day in the 90s on Friday. In the afternoon, we have some thunderstorm potential, gradually trending cooler over 4th of July weekend, but we'll see some scattered showers and storms to factor into your outdoor plans. By next week, we'll be back with highs.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning, getting ready to wrap up hour number one. Again, Congressman Nick Langworthy will be our guest in the 7 o'clock hour. It's not too late to get your comments in on where you stand. We're doing our impromptu poll for America, whether it's a 10 for most patriotic or a 1 for least. We've got our average right now. I'll make sure to mention that before the end of the broadcast. We've been talking about the complete adherence to the left. We see that with the Supreme Court, that if even when the left gets their way in certain court decisions, they're still calling for the expansion of the Supreme Court. They're still calling for more, or what's the word I'm looking for? More adherence, I guess, to the left. This is in all walks of life. It's like the media, it's elsewhere. Hollywood stars are now lashing out. They are screaming because Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson had the audacity to say he would rather keep his personal politics out of the public eye. After telling Esquire earlier this month that he hates the slinging of modern politics, the word he used, Star Trek alum George Takei and Stand By Me actor Will Wheaton took to social media to slam him, calling him complicit. And we talked about this in the past, where if you don't want to talk about it, no, you've got to use your soapbox. You've got to use your platform. You can't sit in the background and say, I'm just going to try to do my job. They will come after you, and it backfires. If you look at someone like Kevin Hart, he was kind of apolitical. Then he came out after so much pressure, said some political jokes, and then they went after him and dug up his Twitter because it wasn't far enough. It was too little too late. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's recent comments to Esquire about wanting to keep my politics to myself has divided fans. Many writing, silence is complicity. We've even heard the more cliche, silence is violence. So disappointing to find out he is such a coward, said actor Will Wheaton. However, some came to Johnson's defense online. I don't care. Enough on that. But that's just a prime example of the complete adherence that you need to have to the far left if you want to, I guess, still make it in Hollywood. We've got a couple things here about the Supreme Court. We're not going to be able to get to a lot in the next hour because we want to spend a lot of time with Congressman Nick Langworthy. He'll be joining us. But we got to get ready to wrap up hour one. Next week, it's going to be a little bit of a different week, obviously, with vacation like that, but we're trying to book some guests as we continue along here. We've been really busy. If you missed any of our previous interviews, such as yesterday talking with Sheriff Jim Allard, that is up on our YouTube page right now and at WYDCTV.com. Celebrating America 250 here on Frankly Speaking on WYDC TV, Big Fox. We have a couple of quick updates in the first segment of the 7 o'clock hour, and then we'll hear from our congressman. So stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
When you're online, don't forget to visit our Facebook page at Big Fox News. Catch up on news from the Twin Tiers and hear about local events. All on Facebook.com/Big Fox News.
Did you know that children growing up with poor air quality have smaller lungs and higher rates of asthma than children that grow up with good air quality? And unfortunately, poor communities have poor air quality. IQ Air Foundation is working to change this. Today, the IQ Air Foundation provides filtration technology to schools with poor air quality through our Clean Air for Kids program. Our goal is to help over 50,000 school children every year breathe over 90% cleaner air indoors, helping to level the playing field, reduce barriers to learning, reduce sick days, and increase test scores. Mitigating poor air quality is key to environmental justice. Help Clean Air for Kids reach more children at IQAirFoundation.org.
And we welcome you to hour number 2 of Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Agam. We are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. We've got a lot to cover before we talk to Congressman Nick Langworthy. Got a comment from a viewer. Frank, that piece that you read from the American Heritage Girls was wonderful. Could you repeat where you found that article? Thanks. And I just threw it out. I want to say it might have been. No, you know what? I think, give me 10 seconds here. I think I know exactly where I found it now that I say that. If you go to Fox News Opinion, it is right there somewhere. I'm almost sure. But I will keep doing, it's either at Fox News or the New York Post. Yes, there it is. I found it. It's by Patty Garibay. It's at foxnews.com. It's America's next 250 years depends on passing faith and freedom to our children. So thank you. All right. Yesterday, Elmira native, U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia, Jeanine Pirro, Judge Jeanine, visited the Reflecting Pool at the National Mall as she prepares to file criminal charges against alleged vandals. A spokesman for her office said Pirro went to the pool to view the destruction that had been intentionally caused and to assess the evidence as she looks forward to filing criminal charges in these cases. Yesterday, this is for our friends in PA. And we're going to take a break here in just a little bit because we have talked with Congressman Nick Langworthy. But right over the border, Governor Josh Shapiro, Democrat from Pennsylvania. He's the governor. He is on the list. There's some speculation about how much of a front runner he is, but he's definitely on the short list for candidates for president on the Democratic ticket. He was asked by, first of all, this is a big red flag. If you are a Pennsylvania resident, you have to take this into consideration. To win the Democrat primary for president, all of these, because they see the Democrat Socialists of America and the rise of that, they're all going to go far left. Josh Shapiro, many people would consider more of a, I'm not saying he's not left, but more of a moderate as compared to a Mamdani, something like that, right? So he was on Morning Joe, and now he's got to prove his left-wing bona fides. He was asked about the Supreme Court decisions, again, some of them going in Trump's favor, some of them not. Shapiro said, I think everything... let me take a step back with what the question was. What do you believe Democrats should do if they do regain the majority? Do you think that expanding the court or setting term limits for the courts should be on the table? Shapiro said, I think everything needs to be on the table. I think we need radical reforms that's actually going to ensure that the voices of the people are heard from, that the voices of the people are represented in the 3 branches of government. We don't have that right now. The framers were incredibly concerned, in Madison in particular, about an executive accumulating too much power. We've seen that because this Supreme Court, in one of the worst decisions over the last century, gave a president absolute immunity because the Congress of the United States has withdrawn from its responsibilities to be a check on the executive. We can begin to change that by voting. And after we vote, I think we need dramatic reform to give the voice back to the people. As for the decision today, I mean, it is as clear as day in the 14th Amendment. This case should have taken a nanosecond to decide, and it should have been 9-0. So, alluding to stacking the deck, to stacking the Supreme Court, that is, Shapiro's going to have to go farther left as he tries to run. And then he'll try to come back if he wins the nomination as more moderate. It's a story as old as time. Now, the DOJ vows that birth tourism will be cracked down upon after the Supreme Court rules against Trump in the birthright citizenship case. We had this for you yesterday, but Colin McDaniel, the DOJ's Assistant Attorney General for Fraud Enforcement, directed federal prosecutors to zealously protect the sanctity of United States citizenship by investigating and prosecuting those who fraudulently exploit our immigration system by traveling to the country under false pretenses to give birth. The criminal laws of the United States have already prohibited conduct inherent to so many of these so-called birth tourism schemes. So we'll be watching that. Now, the Washington Post even suggests that the Supreme Court got it wrong on the birthright rules. The justices decided more than they had to, said the op-ed in Jeff Bezos' newspaper. The case should have been decided on narrower grounds. Declining to reach the constitutional question would have allowed the citizenship debate to continue. Opponents of the decision could have pressed the case in Congress, which the 14th Amendment explicitly empowers to enforce its provision. Legislators might have considered fixes for some of the policy problems Trump's order was meant to address, including birth tourism or traveling to a U.S. jurisdiction solely for the purpose of ensuring citizenship for one's child. Anyway, we don't have to go in that, but pretty surprising. The court split was a surprise to the court's lawyers, according to the New York Times. In the end, birthright citizenship is a constitutional right survived by one vote, the latest sign of how far the conservative legal movement has shifted on the issue. This should have been a 9-0 decision, said Bethany Lee, executive director of the Asian American Legal Defense and Education Fund. Wait, so now it should have been 9. Oh, I guess that's what Josh Shapiro was saying, too, that it should have been 9-0. So they're not even happy when they get a win. They have to say, so what they're telling you is that the court can't be stacked. The Supreme Court should not be stacked unless it is 9-0 to the left. That's the only way the Supreme Court is acceptable. 9-0 with liberal justices. Now, President Trump did say that the decision obviously was not great, but that the Slaughter decision more than made up for the disappointing birthright citizenship case. It was a disappointing decision, Trump told Breitbart, but I think it was, from my personal standpoint, more than made up for by the Slaughter decision, because that was one that was going on for almost 100 years, where they took power away from FDR, and presidents have tried to regain that power for many, many years. If you remember, Taft had the power, and they took it away during FDR. It's been almost 100 years, close to 100 years, and everybody's been trying to regain that power because it was the right thing. It was a correct decision. But a lot of people didn't know how that was going to go, and that one I won 6-3. That was a big one. That was a very big win. All right. We have to take a short break because we have, I know I didn't even get to everything I wanted to get to before we talked with the congressman. But we have Congressman Nick Langworthy coming up here in just a moment. We have a couple of Bill Maher saying Democrats are well on their way to blowing the 2028 election after electing that slew of Democrat socialists in New York City. You had billionaire Peter Thiel spoke in front of a largely liberal audience at the Aspen Institute's Ideas Festival, where he said that, and remember, it's a liberal crowd, he stuns them by warning Democrat socialists will take over their party. My generation was the first one where things felt finally stuck. I think millennials are doing less well than the boomer parents. It's even more deeply felt in Gen Z. And then if we think about it in political terms, it's what's pushing us to try to find solutions outside this sort of very narrow box. And then there was a Republican version that manifested with Trump and a repudiation of Bush neocon consensus. I think the Democrat version, to those of you who are, the liberal Democrats in the audience, that I asked you to take more seriously is I think there's going to be a democratic socialist takeover in the Democrat Party. And it's not just a rational, angry outburst. It is this really, really deep frustration at this stagnation. All right. On that note, stay with us. Congressman Nick Langworthy coming up after this.
After having the arthritis for 30 years, I did want to work and keep working until my retirement age. The feet problems I had just made it impossible. The team was excellent. They go through everything step by step, help you right along the way. And after surgery, here I go again. We're back out. Moving around again is just amazing. And I'm very much appreciative of the care I received. It was exceptional.
Having a safe home is essential to many aspects of our lives. From a sense of community and safety, to physical and mental health, to economic security and independence. Most homes in our communities are not accessible and are not designed to accommodate the changes that come with age, including the risk of falling. The Older Adults Home Modification Program helps reduce the risk of falls, improves safety, and increases accessibility and independence. Through this program, Rebuilding Together works with older adults to provide no-cost preventative home repairs so our neighbors can safely age in place in the homes and communities they love. To learn more, visit rebuildingtogether.org/safeathome.
Meteorologist Brandon Weathers. This is the hottest day that we have ahead of us, but we will be flirting with triple-digit territory, which would be close to 20 degrees above average in the overnight hours. Clear skies, staying in the mid-70s. Then another day in the 90s on Friday. In the afternoon, we have some thunderstorm potential, gradually trending cooler over 4th of July weekend, but we'll see some scattered showers and storms to factor into your outdoor plans. By next week, we'll be back with highs.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Aiken. We're broadcasting from the Hesselson studio, and in that virtual studio this morning, Congressman Nick Langworthy. It's great to see you.
It's great to be back with you, Frank.
We've got a lot to cover, but let's start with the best question we can ask. As we near July 4th, how are you going to be celebrating America 250, excuse me?
I'm going to be celebrating in our district. Obviously there's a lot going on here in Washington, D.C., but there's no better place I'd rather be than right at home with, obviously, our citizens across the district will be doing parades and have all of the normal festivities that make the 4th of July, one of our absolute favorite days of the year.
I'd like to own stock in fireworks this weekend. I know that.
There'll be a lot. I know Washington's going to have a ton, but so many of our communities are going to have just incredible displays, and this is just a day for all of us to celebrate this milestone. We're just so lucky to be alive at the 250th birthday of our nation, and it's really special. And there's things going on here in our capital, but we're taking this opportunity to highlight our citizens, because this is not just about on the 4th of July. This is a year-long celebration. And as I talk to my team, is what is the best way that we can celebrate America 250 in our district? We came up with an idea that I think has gotten really good response so far.
Great. Yep.
We've created an award called America's Community Heroes, America 250 Community Heroes Award for our district. And we've asked everybody, and hopefully all the viewers at home will participate as well, to go onto our website and nominate that special person from your community that has gone above and beyond to make our community great. And it could be a coach, a volunteer firefighter, a mentor, and someone that goes above and beyond to volunteer in the community.
Right.
Those are the people that don't seek recognition, that aren't in the headlines, that we are going to take the opportunity this summer and have a series of incredible events across the district to honor them in their backyard, in front of their neighbors and their loved ones. Yeah. And we're really excited about it.
Kind of the unsung heroes in a way, the people that...
And that's really what we're looking to lift up, those people that never seek the recognition, but do all the work. And, I could think of many of them by name, just the people that I've had the honor to meet over the last 4 years while serving in Congress. And it's always, the select few that always go above and beyond. And those are the people we're looking to highlight, because what makes America great is its people. Exactly. And what makes our congressional district great is the wonderful people that live there.
Yeah, we were talking to Sheriff Jim Allard from Steuben County yesterday. He's already nominated someone. This is really getting a lot of excitement. A lot of people are talking about it.
Yeah, and we're really, going to put together some world-class events. I mean, it reminds me of when we honored America's Vietnam veterans.
Yeah.
Right. And those across the district, and we did 4 different events across all the counties in the district to honor over 700 Vietnam veterans back a couple years ago, and it was absolutely one of the highlights of my time in public life to be able to show the public respect and gratitude that those soldiers didn't get when they came home. And we gave it to them in front of their loved ones, and 50 years later, they were able to get the respect and the gratitude that they deserved.
That was an amazing, touching event. I know the one locally, but like you said, you went throughout the district. So again, I think this is a brilliant idea. America 250 Community Hero Awards. Go to Congressman Langworthy's website so you can nominate someone. Do it today. And since we're having fun talking about some amazing things, you got to be honest with us. How was Highmark Stadium? What's it look like?
Highmark Stadium, it's a thing of beauty.
Yeah.
It is just everything. We had a lot of great memories in the old Ralph, but
I know that's tough.
It was tired.
Yeah.
And this, what's exciting is that we have the best stadium in America, and it's ours.
Yeah.
And it's not normally something in upstate New York that we get to celebrate. So it's really going to be a beautiful facility for our team to bring a championship home and hoist a Super Bowl trophy in the not so distant future.
That's right. Were you a part of the program when Hochul tried to awkwardly start that chant?
I was in the front row.
How uncomfortable was that?
It was just as uncomfortable as the clips.
I think it's only Governor Hochul that couldn't get Bills fans to start a Bills chant. I mean, you can walk down Market Street on a random Tuesday and you hear Bills chants.
I walk through the airport all the time, and if I have a piece of Bills gear on or someone else, you greet people with the Go Bills. And it's great that as the Bills have become more and more popular, and Josh Allen has received the accolades he deserves, that you see that more often in airports, not just in our region but across the country. And it seems like we're able to get a little more spirit out of random strangers at airports.
Wow. That was a bomb. That was something to watch. I recommend anybody who hasn't seen it, go on and watch. And I hate the term cringe, but it's definitely cringe. I know that. All right, I wanted to mention quickly, because I know there's some moving pieces here, the Bipartisan 21st Century Road to Housing Act. Tell us about that at a time when so many people are talking about housing.
Well, this is the first landmark housing bill that we've done in Congress since George H.W. Bush was president.
Wow.
And this directly addresses some of the affordability concerns in the fact that, young people in America are not able to achieve that critical component of the American dream because we don't have enough housing stock. We haven't built houses on spec largely in this country since the 2008 real estate collapse. When things were extremely overpriced, unqualified buyers were getting a note from their mom and getting a mortgage on a $500,000 home. But and we shouldn't go back to those days, but we do need to incentivize building. And this bill addresses that. It also is something that the president has really put a lot of pressure on Congress to achieve, which is get those hedge funds and institutional investors out of the space.
Right.
I mean, we don't need a hedge fund coming in and buying all the housing stock in a particular area and driving up the cost so young people can't afford to buy their home.
Right.
And we have to continue to find ways to make these transactions better. One idea that I've seen that we're researching getting on the bill is to make the capital gains, cap go up so that older people that are looking to downsize and perhaps rent don't have a huge tax bill as their asset has appreciated. I mean, your home is the most significant way to gain your net worth in your lifetime and build your nest egg and wealth. And many seniors are stuck because they don't want to have a huge tax bill at the end of it, as they may have bought the home for $50,000 or $60,000 40, 50 years ago. It's been paid off through just paying their mortgage diligently, and they deserve the full appreciation of that, not a huge capital gains exchange, especially if they're not buying another piece of property. Perhaps they want to rent in their senior years. So it would also allow younger people to enter the market and get into those houses that are their starter homes. And I think that's something that we have to continue to look forward. I don't think this is a mission accomplished, but this is a groundbreaking effort. When you have Elizabeth Warren working with President Trump, something has happened special.
Right.
And it kind of left the front pages a little too quick for my liking, and this should have been a bill that we had a landmark signing, but there's a lot of disagreement in Washington right now, surrounding the issue of voter ID, and it didn't have its day in the sun. It's going to become law whether the president signs it or not. He's pledged he's not going to veto it, but he should be taking a bow on this because he played a large role in it. But people on both sides of the aisle work together to get something big done for the American people. And I think it's something that we could all be proud of.
Well, you mentioned it kind of leaving the headlines too early. Do you think that is at a time when the media seems to want to sow this division? We keep talking on this program. I think every single day we've had a new poll telling us how Americans aren't proud of America or whatever, leading up to July 4th. Do you think it's a part of that? They don't want to see bipartisan work?
I don't think. I in this particular instance, I mean, trust me, the media loves to sow division.
Right.
But it makes for better TV when people are fighting than when they're getting along.
Right.
I tell people every day there are plenty of instances in small ball bipartisanship. I work with upstate Democrats on priorities in the appropriations process, whether it's Congressman Morelli or Congressman Kennedy. But these aren't headlines, events. These are something that's going to be in the prime time. Right. But it's just doing our jobs and having mutual respect for our districts and understanding that we got to lift up upstate New York and Western New York and the Southern Tier. It takes collaboration to do that.
Yeah.
And it's our job. It's what we took an oath to do.
Right.
So, it's not always on the front page when we are working together, but when we're fighting, by God,
it's everywhere. We need to take a short break. We'll be back with Congressman Nick Langworthy after this on Frankly Speaking.
It's the home of creativity. Release your inner audio engineer. Create with the 3D printer. Make your clothing ideas come together with our sewing machine rentals. Or come to the library event nights to chat with those within your community. All with your library card. Go to your local library today.
Everyone has a community. A neighborhood, school, place of worship, or other chosen groups. Communities can provide support when you need it, including helping your kids avoid underage drinking and other substance use. Learn more at talktheyhearyou.samhsa.gov.
Give kids time. Ask them how they're feeling. And listen.
You can just keep watching and scrolling, and the world will still feel like it's falling apart.
Widespread missile attacks. Hospitalization. Evacuation in the West.
Or you can take action by joining a movement that's creating real and lasting change instead. Partnering with communities around the globe to help uproot poverty and plant seeds of hope for a brighter tomorrow. Because at World Vision, we believe that no situation is hopeless. Join a movement that's changing the world for good.
This year, WYDC is bringing you 25 New York Mets games free over the air this spring and summer. No fees and no subscription services. Tune into WJKP 48.2 to watch the New York Mets this MLB season. Let's go Mets!
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We're broadcasting from the Hesselson studio here on Frankly Speaking, and we return to our conversation with Congressman Nick Langworthy. We've all followed closely with Vice President Vance and his fight against fraud, and recently you had the anti-fraud legislative package. Could you tell us a little bit about that and what that means for the viewers?
Well, we have to address the money that's being stolen from our government.
Right.
This is something I hear from constituents every single day. They're fed up.
Mm-hmm.
They know states like New York, who are extremely generous with our social welfare,
right,
that there's fraud going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, you see it. I believe that we need to have a strong safety net to take care of the most vulnerable,
mm-hmm.
but it shouldn't be a lifestyle choice.
Exactly.
And we sure shouldn't tolerate fraudsters setting up shop and dreaming up ways to steal.
Right.
And there's been so many instances in the state of Minnesota, put it on display for the whole country,
mm-hmm.
where largely the Somali-based population in Minneapolis
mm-hmm.
set up all of these daycares, and there were no children there.
Right.
And they did this time and again. I mean, to the tune of $9 billion.
Right.
This isn't petty theft.
Mm.
This is one of the greatest grand larcenies that's ever happened in the nation's history.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is we had whistleblowers come to us in the Oversight Committee and tell us that they've been crying for it for years, that it's a well-known fact in the streets of Minnesota that this is going on.
Yeah.
And as they reported to the authorities, nothing happens.
Mm-hmm.
Tim Walz and the Attorney General
yeah.
knew damn well what was going on, because the state senators were coming forward with evidence, but they ignored it. Now, why did they ignore it? Well, I believe for political purposes, because in the populations that were stealing with both hands,
mm-hmm.
they got 95% of all the votes cast out of that population.
Yeah.
So let them steal, and they'll keep voting for us.
Think about that for the taxpayer.
It should be criminal.
Yeah.
It should be something that leads to your impeachment from public
Mm-hmm.
office. It's led to Tim Walz leaving public life at the end of the year because he can't seek re-election in his own state.
Yeah.
Now, Minnesota is the tip of the iceberg. Imagine what's under the surface in states like California and New York.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, New York does not police its Medicaid system. I mean, they are not serious about fighting Medicaid fraud. There are instances of our local sheriff's offices and DAs doing a pretty good job uncovering some of it. I see those headlines coming out of my counties in the southern tier all the time. But in terms of what's going on in the 5 boroughs in New York, in Brooklyn and in Queens, I mean, there is a cottage industries of figuring out ways to game the system. There was an instance in the state of California where LA County had 1/3 of all the hospice facilities, here set up to give people a dignified end of life, free of pain. And 1/3 of them were in one county in one state.
Right.
Now, that set off alarm bells. I mean, I met with Dr. Oz last week, and we were going through a lot of the details of that. But as soon as they got onto it and shut the payments off, the vast majority of those entities never inquired about where their money was. They knew they had been had.
Yeah.
They just are looking to disappear into the ethos at this point. So we have to shut the door on fraud. What largely we're looking to achieve in the packages that we put forward so far is to put the fraud investigation on the front end, because once the money's out the door,
it's gone.
You're not going to get it back.
No. I mean, we know in Minnesota they sent it overseas.
Yep. It's going into organized crime. This is never going to be seen again by the American taxpayer. I mean, we're still prosecuting people for PPP fraud 6 years later, after long after the pandemic's over with, when the government was shoveling money out as fast as it could, and that was the priority, as Dr. Oz has explained it, of the Biden years, with the department, the CMS, which is under Health and Human Services, that handles Medicaid and Medicare. That they said, sign everybody up, get them all qualified as quickly as possible, and get the money out the door. It wasn't, let's verify eligibility.
Right.
these programs, I believe we need a strong safety net to take care of the absolute most vulnerable that can't take care of themselves.
Right.
And we should do that, and it should be robust. But not one person that doesn't qualify for that should get those benefits.
No.
And it's only for the truly vulnerable in our population. It shouldn't be a lifestyle choice, and it should not be something that has loopholes where fraudsters can get in, set up fake organizations to cash in.
Right. And I also want to mention on the local level, and then I got to ask you about the rise of Democrat Socialists of America. I got to ask you about this. But for all our friends that are watching in Jasper, Troopsburg, we finally got the FEMA funding, thanks to you, the $60.5 million. But I love the fact in this, and this is what people have wanted me to pass on to you, that it's not just about rebuilding, it's about ensuring as best as we can that this never happens again.
And that's really important because, that was, I'll never forget going there the day after the flood.
Right.
And, driving around with Sheriff Allard and so many of our elected officials like Joe Sempolinski and Tom O'Mara, and, seeing this school that had just gotten cleared to reopen, totally destroyed again. And it would be so foolish to just try to, put them in the same spot. I mean, there are storms that are going to happen.
Right.
There are changes that hopefully New York State will wake up and try to make to allow locals to handle their creek bed management better and not be so focused on minutia. The DEC has been very invasive to our local communities, especially our small towns in the rural parts of New York. But this, they deserve a school that can be safe from a flooding event. A school in a small town, in a series of small towns like that, is the community center.
Yes.
It's the fabric that keeps it together. And the fact that those students have been spread out and disjointed for years is a disservice to all the communities affected.
I agree.
So this is what FEMA is there for, to prevent things from happening again, even after a disaster. Right. So I'm happy to play the role that we played, and that Jasper Troopsburg's going to get a brand new, beautiful school that they deserve.
Right. I like that I'm about to bring up the worst thing at the end, and when we brought up all the good things. But let's talk about the rise of the Democrat Socialists of America. Obviously, a little over a week now from primaries, and the way it's being presented is that this is kind of the rise of the socialists. What do you see? Because you're going to have, it looks like, some DSA members in the House come November.
This is Zoran Mandami's party now.
Yeah,
he is the leader, and he presents socialism or communism with a big grin on his face, and tries to present himself as a happy warrior. But they're trying to transform our nation.
Yes.
I mean, you listen to the values that these candidates have presented in their public record, and it's not love of country, it's not devotion to our democracy. It is, in fact, the opposite. There's people that have expressed disrespect to our nation. I mean, the one candidate coming to Washington next year said, "I can't find a napkin. I just use the American flag hanging behind me."
Think about that. I
mean, think about, we're at America 250, and we are going to have someone like that as a lawmaker in our nation. Last night in Colorado, a 30-year Democratic incumbent who I serve on Energy and Commerce with. She is a radical liberal.
Right.
I bet you we haven't cast 5 votes the same way in my entire time in Congress.
Right.
Yet she was defeated by someone that is 29 years old, that is absolutely off the rails, and a card-carrying member of the Democratic Socialists. This is not the Democratic Party of JFK or FDR that our grandfathers joined because they said that the Democratic Party was the party of working people.
Right.
That is gone. That does not exist anymore. And you're seeing the tale being told on primary day, where it is America last, open borders, a demand for socialism,
and a police,
and
no
disrespect
police
to our history.
Yeah, they want to end police. They want to get rid of prisons. right? And then let's really get down to the brass tacks too. This rise in anti-Semitism. They're saying the things now that in the past there was whispers of. Now they're saying it out loud on a platform.
They're screaming it.
Yes.
They're screaming it.
Yeah.
They don't just want us to not financially support Israel. They want us to support Israel's attackers.
Right.
And listen, there's been a lot of concern. Obviously, we wanted to see all wars end.
Sure,
I don't want war in the Middle East. I didn't want it in Gaza, and I didn't certainly want to see us enter a war with Iran, but we couldn't afford to let Iran take on nuclear weapons. I'm not so sure that these people in question that are going to become members of Congress support America in a war with Iran.
No.
I mean, the largest state sponsor of terror that the world's ever known.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they view Iran as the oppressed at this point.
Mm-hmm.
It's insane.
It's
sickening. Absolutely insane. The people that have murdered people
Mm-hmm.
and their own people
right
for generations. I mean, the reason that we didn't see regime change in Iran, even though there were so many protesters in the streets,
right,
is because they were executed. They were executed
right.
before the bombs ever flew.
Mm-hmm.
And, it just showed that there's no value for human life with the people that run those countries and those regimes that, oppress their people.
Right.
Yet they're held up to a high standard by this democratic socialist group.
It's terrible.
So, there's no longer two parties that support the state of Israel. There's only one.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a scary time. There's anti-Semitism is at the front burner.
Mm-hmm. What do you think, just before we go, what do you think this means after November, of course, going into January? What does this mean for Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer?
They're going to really have their hands full.
Yeah.
This is, people have tried to liken it to the Tea Party. Well, the Tea Party was an organic movement of people that tried to change the value set in basically recenter the Republican Party to focus on the needs of working people.
Right.
And it was successful. And it ultimately led us to a place where we're no longer jumping in and adopting all the free trade agreements to send our jobs overseas.
Right.
It reconnected us with the realities of working class and middle class people in this country. And I'm far more comfortable with that than the era of the Republican Party that was focused on the country club and the elites.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't represent the elites. I represent real people, authentic Americans in the heartland of New York. And I'm proud of that fact. That's where I come from, and that's where I've spent my whole life.
Right. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see this. And I'm sure Hakeem Jeffries is a little nervous about where this all ends, but
he should be.
He should be. But I think that does it. One last thing. We got to ask about the Beagle Freedom Project. Tell us about it. This is your baby.
Well, listen. It was brought to my attention by my wife finding posts on social media about people taking matters in their own hands to free these dogs from this site at Ridgeland in Wisconsin, where there were 2,000 beagles being bred for medical experimentation and slaughter.
Yeah,
beagles. I mean, here's an animal that could just as easily be curled up on your sofa,
I know,
and be the family pet, and it's being treated inhumanely from the moment it's born. I mean, these dogs had never touched grass.
Yeah.
I mean, I met 8 of these beagles by a rescue group in Western New York that brought them from Wisconsin, and these beagles are all over America at this point. This is the year of the beagle.
Yeah, that's right.
But they're bred for these experiments because their nature is so trusting and forgiving. So you can hurt them and you can harm them, and they will still come to you. I mean,
heartbreaking
examples of you keep injecting them in the same spot in the paw, and they lift the paw up to you. These are things I don't think that's been socialized with the American people nearly enough. That we are using these dogs for torturous testing, dogs and cats for that matter. And then after I got involved and started inquiring, because I immediately came to the office and said to my staff, we're going to get to the bottom of this and see how we can make a difference.
Right.
I'm on the committee of jurisdiction at Energy and Commerce, and there's a site right in our backyard in Wayne County that's 10 times the size of Ridgeland. It is the largest in America. And I've been to Wayne County dozens of times in my life.
Yeah.
I had no idea this existed. Many people that I've talked to that live there have no idea that it's there. And you have 110 employees at Marshall Bioresources. They have 60,000 animals under the roofs of those buildings. There is no way that they're being treated humanely. I think it's in a state that's supposedly so progressive, New York,
right,
where the state legislature has banned vocal cord clipping on dogs, declawing of cats. We have been forward on animal rights. We're allowing this to happen in our backyard. And it's going to take, researching as to how to make the real difference. First off, I want to cut off the federal funds for the experiments. I want to change the culture at the FDA so, we're not taking healthy animals that are in the test, that get placebo, and they're being executed just like the dogs that have received tremendous amounts of medication on a horrifically torturous level. We are at a point in science in our country where we don't need this animal experimentation. It's cruel, it's unusual, and it should not be tolerated in this country. So I'm going to keep going with that fight, but we also need state legislative partners to join this fight as well, because many of the laws governing sites like Marshall Bioresources are unfortunately on the state's jurisdiction. And we need, I've heard from people from all 50 states at this point. And this is united a lot of people, no matter what party affiliation you have. Dogs and cats are our pets.
Right.
Shouldn't be treated this way.
Well, Congressman Nick Langworthy, thanks for giving us so much time this morning. Of course, we all wish you a happy Independence Day, and we do appreciate it.
Have a wonderful Independence Day, everyone.
Thanks, Nick. All right, we'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after this.
When you're online, don't forget to visit our Facebook page at Big Fox News. Catch up on news from the Twin Tiers and hear about local events. All on Facebook.com/Big Fox News.
Hi, this is Itzel, owner of Hesselson's in Amara Heights. At Hesselson's, we care about your well-being and overall health, whether it's relieving stress, muscle recovery, increasing circulation, or just revitalizing the body. Hesselson's now has 2 complete line of infrared and traditional rock saunas in our new and expanded showroom. Come in today and see why owning a sauna is a start of your new healthy lifestyle. Hesselson's is still locally and family-owned and operated in Amira Heights. After 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
Today's students are tomorrow's great thinkers and innovators.
What can this fall teach us about the way things move?
But right now, millions of kids go to schools that don't have the supplies they need just because of where they live. Donors Choose is a nonprofit that lets you support students and teachers in your community and beyond. You could supply a classroom like this one with a project. But what you're really giving is the moment that sparks a brighter tomorrow. Learn more at donorschoose.org.
The health class film guy isn't the best person to talk to your kid about vaping.
Got a few minutes?
You are. Talk to your child about vaping today.
Meteorologist Brandon Weathers. This is the hottest day that we have ahead of us, but we will be flirting with triple-digit territory, which would be close to 20 degrees above average in the overnight hours. Clear skies, staying in the mid-70s. Then another day in the 90s on Friday. In the afternoon, we have some thunderstorm potential, gradually trending cooler over 4th of July weekend, but we'll see some scattered showers and storms to factor into your outdoor plans. By next week,
Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Marcus Street in Corning. We're so glad that Congressman Nick Langworthy gave us so much time this morning. We do appreciate it. I hope we covered everything that interests you. Let's go to some viewer comments. Morning, man. This was in reference to Nick being on the program. I have to say I like Nick, but I don't think the New York State taxpayers are excited about the new Bills Stadium. $850 million to a billionaire owner. Yeah, it's done, right? I mean, what's done is done, and that's a Hochul decision. So at least get a chance to look at the the new stadium. I know there's a lot of people upset seeing how much tax dollars went to it, knowing full well that when you look at the ticket prices, there's no way that the average Joe would be able to attend. But I appreciate that. Comment from Rick, who says, good morning. Well, good morning, Rick. Trump gets his new ride from Qatar. I wonder how much that costs the American people to upgrade that plane. I'm not saying we don't need a new Air Force One, but did we need it right now given the economy? And 2 more planes are to be completed in the next 2 years. I'm not sure the cost of the upgrades. I know the plane was gifted. Continuing, the hounds are on Trump's trail for all the money he's making as a result of his position. Cash and carry politics. He's so cocky, he doesn't even try to hide what him and his boys are doing. I hope once and for all someone really nails this outlaw. He has got away with being a criminal his whole life, and then finally Trump says communism is the biggest threat to our country ever. I beg to differ. I say the administration we have running the country right now and his bulldozer leader are the biggest threat. Moving along here, keep those comments, keep those waves coming in. Healthcare fraud. This is getting interesting. We talked with the congressman about this fraud. Just when you think you've heard kind of the most shocking instances, a Medicare scam that was run by an overseas mob, possibly linked to the Kremlin. They got away with $1 billion, with a B, $1 billion of federal money, according to a new federal indictment. The scheme, which began during the Biden administration, had low-level foreign nationals fly to America and purchase more than 30 medical supply companies. They then used the stolen credentials of 7,000 physicians and more than 1 million Medicare recipients to submit a jaw-dropping $10.6 billion in fraudulent Medicare claims. The crooks wound up with nearly $1 billion in hard cash, which they allegedly laundered through China, Israel, Pakistan, Singapore, and Turkey. Authorities nabbed some of the mob's foot soldiers, but it's not clear who actually ran the operation. But again, to Congressman Langworthy's point on this, there's a lot of politicians that stood to gain from wasting this money. In this instance, $1 billion. And then there's a reason why so many politicians are fighting rooting out waste, fraud, and corruption. That's why I wanted to give kudos to the congressman for being a part of that fight. New York, and just when you see the waste, fraud, and corruption, New York and California are among 25 states who are currently suing the Trump administration over Medicaid work rule, which is designed to prevent fraud. We know the work rule. The lawsuit filed by at least 25 states in the District of Columbia alleges the newly implemented interim final rule issued by the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services violates federal law and departs from Congress's original intent and early CMS guidance. So when we see all this waste, fraud, and corruption, again, we in New York not fighting against the waste, fraud, and corruption. We're fighting against looking into the waste, fraud, and corruption. We got to take a short break. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking. Getting ready, I mean, it's going quick to wrap up today's edition, the America 250 celebration edition of Frankly Speaking. So get your comments, get your waves in, and we will be right back after this quick commercial break.
I had to pack up all my things. I had to leave my home. And I never knew where I was going next. It felt like I never even had a say. But then you came along.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you. Learn how you can help at nationalcasagal.org.
Ever lose your keys? Is that normal aging, dementia, or something else? Fear often stops us from asking for a simple checkup from the neck up. Knowing your numbers, blood pressure, blood sugar, and cholesterol are common, but your cognitive numbers are also important, especially if you're age 65 or older. Better to act sooner rather than later if you want to maintain or enhance your brain's health. Hello, I'm Kevin, President of the Dementia Society of America, a national nonprofit organization. I'm excited to offer you a free guide filled with tips for better brain health and important facts about dementia, care planning, and much more. Go to 1-800-DEMENTIA.org or call 1-800-DEMENTIA. Your brain will thank you.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. Let's see, there we go. I thought I lost it. It's such a nice comment, I didn't want to. I hope you and the staff have a great holiday weekend. Well, thank you. Isn't that nice of you? With a lot of American flag emojis there. We do appreciate it. I hope you have a great holiday weekend as well, and I hope everyone out there does. Have a fun, safe Independence Day and celebrating America 250. Well, you know, before we get... No. At the last break, I'm going to tell you what our impromptu poll about your patriotism, what the results were. So Trump yesterday denounced a growing number of socialists winning Democrat House primaries. He called them communists who are, quote, a very unattractive lot. This was at the Presidential Library honoring Theodore Roosevelt. The people that are running on the other side in many places, they want to defund the police. That's not going to happen. They said that they're social democrats. Doesn't sound pretty. They're actually communists. But we get into a little bit of that later. They're not going to win anything. They got some very unattractive candidates. Like I said, Bill Maher is suggesting the Democrats are well on their way to blowing the 2028 election after the election of the DSA members. But after what they believe, and rightfully so, is historic victories for the DSA, they are now trying to urge on AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, to challenge Chuck Schumer. Now, there's thoughts, we had this to you earlier in the week, that if she decides instead to forego running against Senator Schumer, that Schumer will support her for president. But many people, I think, are saying, let's keep it as senator first. We don't like Schumer. We want you there. That's the DSA. I think Bernie Sanders. I think Chuck Schumer has to be a little bit nervous. I think AOC, and I'd love to hear your thoughts, I think AOC can defeat Chuck Schumer. Chuck Schumer is not what you'd call very popular these days, just like Hakeem Jeffries. But David Hersani says nationwide Democrats elect and embrace socialists who have admitted for their hatred of the country. Socialism is a cancer and it's metastasized, said David Hersani. Democrat Socialists of America candidates are no longer relegated to dense urban areas on the east and west coast. Extremists are on the rise in virtually every Democrat Party stronghold in the country. And those who believe that DSA candidates are merely dispatching a few moderate Democrats have it wrong. Yeah, if you look at some of these instances, they're taking out very far left candidates, just as the congressman mentioned earlier on. And I'm not going to go through every outrageous, outlandish, disgusting thing that each candidate said. But as Hersani said, communism isn't a new idea, nor is anti-Semitism. The only thing new here are Democrats willing to submit to the most extremist anti-American politician the nation has ever seen. The leftist insurgents are rattling Democrats ahead of the U.S. midterms. I don't think that's the case. I know they're suggesting there are some moderate Democrats that are concerned about where this heads. I mean, Hakeem Jeffries, who should be the most concerned about keeping his job, meaning as in leadership position, he congratulated all the DSA members over the weekend. But they are asking the question, yes, the far left, the Democrat Socialists won in New York City, but can it survive the redistricting efforts of Hakeem Jeffries? Jeffries wants to redraw New York's congressional districts to give Democrats an edge, and he remains leery of growing Democrat socialist movement. Interesting. We got to take a short break, and then we're going to wrap up today's edition. So get your comments in. Celebrating America 250, we will have the results of our impromptu poll when we return. We'll be right back.
Looking for a meaningful day trip close to home? Visit the historic Elmira Prison Camp, one of the most significant Civil War sites in the North. Walk the grounds, stand where history happened, discover powerful stories of courage, sacrifice, and survival that shaped our nation. Whether you're a history enthusiast, a family looking to learn together, or simply exploring the Finger Lakes region, we offer an experience you won't forget. Plan your visit today at elmiracivilwar.org. Preserve, discover, remember.
When a child
child is fighting a critical illness, one truth touches us all. Every child deserves a childhood. A wish sparks a ripple of hope that transforms communities far and wide. And when we grant wishes together, we create a movement of kindness, strength, and unity. Become a wish maker today and be part of a journey that truly changes lives.
Meteorologist Brandon Weathers, this is the hottest day that we have ahead of us, but we will be flirting with triple-digit territory, which would be close to 20 degrees above average in the overnight hours. Clear skies, staying in the mid-70s. Then another day in the 90s on Friday. In the afternoon, we have some thunderstorm potential, gradually trending cooler over 4th of July weekend, but we'll see some scattered showers and storms to factor into your outdoor plans. By next week, we'll be back with highs.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security need. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. We got so many great comments coming in. All right, let's get right to them. Oh, wow. We have a lot more coming in. I sure am happy that Trump came through with the bulldozer. It took care of the DEI nonsense, and he showed us how to make money in the stock market. That was his argument, kind of to what Rick was saying, opposed to it, of course, but that was his argument yesterday. Comment from a different viewer. Mark writes in, have a great 4th of July weekend and a proud 250. Well, thank you, Mark. The same goes for you. Everybody be safe out there. Comment from a different viewer. It's sickening to have to say this, but I believe AOC would defeat Schumer. And it's not that I have any love in my heart for Chuck. I can't stomach him either. And the thought of either of them nauseates me. I think AOC, as of right now, and so many things can change in politics, I think she beats Chuck Schumer. And I think she'd be smart to go that avenue as compared to presidency, because if she runs for president, like J.D. Vance has speculated that that's going to be the candidate. If she runs and loses, she won't be quite as hot of a commodity to run for senator, and Chuck Schumer will probably then have 6 more years. So you're talking quite a long time frame. All right, comment from a different viewer. Good morning, Frank. Well, good morning to you. I believe that the DSA would not be as successful if Nancy Pelosi were still in charge, not Hakeem. Ooh, that's a thought-provoking comment here on the way out the door. I think you're right. I think Nancy Pelosi would have laid down the law a little bit different. Hakeem Jeffries, kind of like former Governor Cuomo did, were complicit, complacent, wanted to hope it kind of fizzled out, and it didn't. That's a really good point. And now here's a big one. Good morning from Iowa. There's a big Iowa wave. That's our first one in the map. I'll get my pin out here, and we'll put it in our big map. Iowa, from both our favorite engineers, Brian and Chris, out there working hard in Iowa. I'm glad to see you sending a wave. And their poll, between the two of them, 10.5 for American Pride. That might actually bring up the average, because here is our final tally for the impromptu poll without that new 10.5 added. I should add that. I apologize. I wasn't prepared for the last second survey. But we got 10.5 from Iowa. Up till right now, we had 12 10s, and we had a 4, if you recall, from Rick. We had a 3, and I don't believe they gave a name, and then an 8 from someone else. We heard the sheriff yesterday, Sheriff Allard. He gave it a 10. So that puts the average at a not perfect, but as not like a point anything, a 9. So we are at 9. I would say that's pretty good compared to what we've seen at the national media front. We were all hoping for 10s, but it's hard to overcome a 4, a 3, and an 8. And now a 10.5 from our friends in Iowa. Thank you, Brian and Chris. Thanks for watching. Thank you for watching from Iowa. I'm excited to, right before America 250, be able to add another pin in the map. Well, everyone have a great 4th of July weekend, celebrating America's 250th anniversary, 250th birthday. If you go anywhere fun, you do anything fun, love to see pictures. We'll play them on the show. When we return, we want to thank Congressman Nick Langworthy for being our guest this morning and giving us so much time. We do appreciate him being on the program. We'll have that up on our website, WYDCTV.com, very soon after the program, and on our YouTube page if you missed it. So again, have a fun, safe Independence Day and July 4th weekend, and we'll be back with Frankly Speaking every weekday morning starting at 6, only on WYDC TV, Big Fox. I look forward to it already. Happy July 4th.
It's the home of creativity. Release your inner audio engineer. Create with the 3D printer. Make your clothing ideas come together with our sewing machine rentals. Or come to the library event nights to chat with those within your community. All with your library card. Go to your local library today.
I had to pack up all my things. I had to leave my home. And I never knew where I was going next. It felt like I never even had a say. But then you came along.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you. Learn how you can help at nationalcasagal.org.